Here is the script rewritten with slight word changes, using simple English, maintaining the original length and meaning, and without any headings, subheadings, or names. I'm going to tell you something most men never hear. Women don't actually pull away because you were too cool, too distant, or never around. They pull away because you allowed them access to parts of yourself they had not yet earned. You gave too much belief, too much forgiveness, too much effort, too much of your future plans. You gave without limits, and she noticed the imbalance before you did. The reason is that a woman doesn't just randomly lose interest. She loses interest when she realizes you care more about her than you care about yourself. And if you have ever felt puzzled by that change, her sudden distance, her affection fading, her lack of respect, there is a simple reason. You stepped over boundaries you didn't know were there. In this talk, I'm going to clearly explain the 10 things a man must never do for a woman so you never hurt your own worth again. I have seen this same pattern happen with countless men, smart, capable, decent men who still lose respect in their partnerships because no one taught them how limits truly work. Women are not confusing. They react to order. They react to sureness. And when you do not bring that kind of strength, the relationship will decline in the same way every time. What I am giving you here is the exact method I have used to help men get their confidence back and completely change their interactions. If you want that same clearness, please engage with this content. Then write in the comments, "I'm ready to take charge of my life again." Say it so your own mind hears it, because the change begins right now. And it starts with understanding the first mistake that quietly destroys a man's value. The first rule: never forgive being cheated on, not twice. A betrayal is not a mistake, and every man needs to accept that fact without backing down. When a woman crosses that significant line, she did not mess up. She did not get confused, she made a choice. And the moment you rush to forgive her, hoping it will fix the connection, you don't realize you are sending a very clear message that she understands immediately. Your personal rules can be bent, and your self-respect is not required. What most men fail to grasp is this: women judge you based on your personal standards, not your compliments, and not your love, your standards. When she sees you accepting her cheating, she quietly starts to think less of your worth. She may tell you she is sorry. She may promise it will never happen again. She may weep until your shirt is soaked, but tears do not erase the change in her thinking. She now knows she can pull on your feelings, and you will give in. It is not just the act of cheating itself that breaks the interaction. It is the fact that you decided to stay. Women are not attracted to men who make themselves easily replaceable. They are attracted to men who defend their dignity without hesitation. When you forgive a betrayal twice, you are not choosing love. You are choosing to ignore your own needs. If you want to rebuild your life with power, you must draw a line only once. You must make it obvious what is acceptable and what immediately ends the relationship. Do this not with anger or shouting, but with a calm, certain finality. A man who enforces his boundaries without unnecessary drama is a man who keeps his power. And here is the truth you cannot avoid. A woman respects a man with strict limits far more than a man who tries to earn love by letting her disrespect him. The second rule: never ask for permission to live your own life. There is a clear difference between sharing your plans with a woman and asking her for approval to live your life. Too many men mix up that difference, and the moment that happens, the entire way you interact changes. When you treat her as the final decision maker over your choices, you quietly put yourself beneath her. You change a partnership into a boss-employee structure, and you place yourself at the bottom. Women do not stop respecting men because they talk about things. They stop respecting them when a man gives away his right to make decisions. When you wait, needing her agreement before you take a trip, accept an opportunity, go to an event, or even commit to a simple social plan, she does not see a thoughtful partner. She sees a man who needs to be controlled. And once that idea is formed, it affects every part of your relationship. Think about what it shows when you let her answer for you when you are out in public. Someone asks you a direct question, and you immediately look at her. She steps in, speaks on your behalf, and you stand there like a man who has forgotten he has a voice. That single moment is enough for her to see you differently, not as a leader, but as someone who follows. and a follower never has the emotional importance that she instinctively searches for. A woman should be told what you're doing, not consulted as if she is your manager. You make the choice, and then you share it, not to get her approval, but to be open and clear. That is what stability looks like. That is what power feels like from a woman's point of view. Clear direction, confidence, and the ability to act without needing a permission slip. When a man is firm in his choices, he becomes someone a woman can relax with. When he is not, she quickly fills the empty space he leaves. And once you make her the one who decides everything, do not be surprised when she treats you like someone who needs to be told what to do. The third rule: never become poor just to impress a woman. There is a behavior almost every man has done at least once: spending money to impress a woman who did not ask for deep feeling, only for an outward show. And the truth is hard but simple. When you use money to buy attention, you teach her to value the show, not the person providing it. This is how men lose themselves without realizing they are running out of money and emotion at the same time. Men spend too much money on dates, trips, gifts, and fancy things because they believe effort is judged by how much it costs. They think being generous will buy loyalty. But women do not react to too much spending in the way men expect. They are attracted by stability, not expensive displays, by confidence, not overspending, by having a plan, not by being in debt. When a woman sees you spending more than you have, borrowing money, quickly using your cards, living beyond what you can afford, she does not admire the sacrifice. She questions your common sense. She wonders how a man can plan a future when he cannot even manage himself. And once that small doubt is planted, it grows quickly. Most importantly, overspending creates a problem. She starts to connect your presence with constant giving. You become the source of fun experiences, not the source of strength. The moment you cannot keep up that speed, the interaction changes, the excitement lessens, the pressure grows, and you realize you trained her to see you as someone who provides things she never had to earn. A man protects his money in the same way he protects his time and his limits, with control. You invest in yourself first, your security, your knowledge, your growth, your foundation. When a woman respects you, she respects the structure of your life too. When she only respects your wallet, you will always be just one missed payment away from her losing interest. Here is the truth most men avoid. If you have to spend a lot to be noticed, you were never truly chosen. You were bought, and things that are bought are only temporary. The fourth rule: never allow her to completely manage your life. Control never enters a relationship all at once. It comes in small, almost unnoticeable steps. Requests that seem fair, check-ins that seem caring, small demands disguised as concern. And before a man realizes it, he is not in a partnership anymore. He is in a system of being watched that he accidentally agreed to. When a woman starts to micromanage, it usually comes from two sources: insecurity and the urge to take charge when she senses you are not leading. And if you obey, if you let her know where you are all the time, strictly check your schedule, question every purchase, or look through your messages like a manager checking on an employee, you strengthen the very dynamic that will destroy attraction over time. Because here is what men forget: the more a woman has to control you, the less she can look up to you. The more she tracks you, the less she trusts you. And the more she controls your world, the less she respects the man living in it. A woman is not drawn to someone she manages. She is drawn to someone she can depend on. The real danger is that being micromanaged quietly changes who you are. You lose your desire to act. You hesitate before making choices. You watch your own actions to avoid disagreement. You operate like a man who expects to be punished instead of a man who is directing his own life. That change stops attraction faster than any argument ever could. A powerful man does not push back with anger. He pushes back with clarity. He sets boundaries on what is okay and what is not. He decides what personal space means, what openness means, and what respecting each other looks like. And he shares this calmly without apologizing, because no woman truly wants a man she can control completely. She wants a man who knows where he is going with or without her approval. The fifth rule: never lie to make her feel better. A woman can feel the difference between the truth and empty compliments in the same way you can feel the difference between respect and simply being tolerated. The moment you start making things sound better than they are, you might think you are protecting her feelings, but what you are really doing is breaking down her trust one small, soft lie at a time. And once trust is damaged, nothing you say matters anymore. Men lie because they are afraid of conflict, afraid of hurting her, afraid of losing peace. But a woman does not lose respect for you because you tell her the truth. She loses respect because you are too scared to tell it. When you compliment something you do not truly like or avoid pointing out habits that are hurting the relationship, she does not hear kindness. She hears weakness. Women are very sensitive to emotional mismatches. If her clothes do not look good and you say they do, she knows. If she is falling into bad habits and you pretend not to notice, she knows. If you keep agreeing just to avoid a fight, she knows. And once she realizes you are willing to change reality just to keep things calm, she stops trusting your words completely. Honesty does not require being mean. It requires courage. It means you can deliver the truth steadily, not with annoyance. You can tell her something is not working without raising your voice. You can call out patterns that are damaging both of you: lack of self-control, disrespect, unhealthy habits, and do it from a place of clarity, not cruelty. A man who tells the truth becomes a stable force in her life. A man who hides behind lies becomes a noise she ignores. Women may not always like the truth right away, but they rely on men who consistently stand on it. Because in the end, strength is not about appearing tough. It is about refusing to change reality to make someone else feel comfortable for a short time. And a woman respects the man she cannot trick. The sixth rule: never treat her going out with friends without limits as normal. It is good for a woman to have her own social life. Being independent is attractive. But when a man pretends that every situation is safe, he sets himself up for disrespect that he could have avoided. This is not because she cannot be trusted, but because human behavior is shaped by the energy of the group she joins. And nothing changes a woman's attitude faster than being around people who live like they owe nothing to anyone. When a woman goes out often with friends who are single, wild, or only focused on getting attention from men, she is entering an atmosphere built on doing whatever you want, seeking approval, and putting on a show. Most men do not realize how strong group influence is. A woman who is usually steady can still get caught up in the rhythm of a crowd that thrives on being noticed. And without limits, that atmosphere eventually hurts the relationship. This is not about trying to control her. It is about understanding that every place affects behavior. When her nights out happen too often, are unplanned, or involve people who disrespect relationships in general, a subtle change occurs. She becomes less responsible, less considerate, less stable. And if you stay quiet because you are afraid of looking controlling, you allow the interaction to slowly fall apart while you pretend everything is fine. The answer is not stopping her from living her life. It is about establishing mutual respect. You clearly state what fits with the relationship and what does not. You explain the difference between healthy independence and risky situations. You explain that commitment requires both people to protect the relationship, not just at home, but also in the places they choose to go. A man without standards brings trouble. A man with standards brings clearness. When you decide what is acceptable and she respects it, the relationship gets stronger. If she resists any kind of limit, what she really wants is not a partnership. It is freedom without responsibility. And when you fail to set the standard, the group she is with will happily set it for her. The seventh rule: never choose her over your life's purpose. Nothing harms a man faster than giving up the very thing that defines him. Yet countless men do this the moment they fall in love. They start making their dreams smaller, delaying their goals, reorganizing their entire future around a woman who never asked for that sacrifice and would not respect it even if she got it. The reason is that a woman may enjoy being the most important thing, but she stops being attracted the moment she realizes she is more important than your path in life. A man without purpose becomes emotionally dependent. He becomes softer, more needy, easier to influence. He starts living only in reaction, responding to her mood, her schedule, her desires, while his own identity disappears into the background. Women do not deliberately mean to punish a man for doing this, but attraction is not always logical. When she senses he has stopped trying hard, she instinctively questions his worth over the long run. Purpose is the core strength of a man. It is the structure a woman leans on. When you give up your goals for her, you signal that you can be pulled off course by emotion, and that makes you unreliable, not loving. She may enjoy the attention for a while, but eventually she will feel the emptiness underneath it. She will notice the lack of passion, the loss of ambition, the absence of difficulty. And instead of feeling loved, she will feel responsible for the emptiness you created. A man does not become irreplaceable by focusing only on a woman. He becomes irreplaceable by building a life she admires, a life she wants to join, not take over. When you choose your path over short-term comfort, you raise your own value. You become a force she respects because you refuse to give up on your own potential. Your purpose is not a competition with her. It is the foundation that makes you worth following. And the moment you sacrifice it to keep her near, you guarantee she will move away. Women do not fall in love with men who disappear into them. They fall in love with men who remain connected to something bigger than the relationship itself. The eighth rule: never cancel important obligations for her. A woman will test how much your word means long before she tests how deep your feelings are. And nothing shows a man's weakness faster than giving up his responsibilities just because she needs him right now. Not for real emergencies. Those are different. I am talking about canceling your plans, your meetings, your work, your commitments to other people simply because she is upset, bored, or wants attention. The moment you do that, you teach her one thing: your life can be easily changed. Women watch how a man handles his commitments. They watch how he respects his schedule, how he finishes what he starts, how he shows up when he says he will. Those qualities signal reliability, stability, and leadership. But when she sees you drop everything immediately whenever she feels uncomfortable, she does not see it as devotion. She sees it as a lack of structure, a lack of self-control, a lack of strength. And once she senses that you are willing to abandon your own world just to calm her emotions, she quietly gives you a new job: emotional helper. You become the man who changes his identity to keep her feeling stable. That is not love. That is erasing yourself. The cost over time is greater than you think. You will start to resent her for the sacrifices she never asked you to make. She will start to resent you for the weakness she never intended to encourage. And the relationship becomes a cycle of you giving too much and her not valuing it enough, until neither of you recognizes the man you once were. A strong man does not abandon his commitments. He organizes them, he shares them, he honors them, he makes time for his relationship, but he never replaces his responsibilities with it. Because the world only takes a man seriously if he takes himself seriously first. If your word does not matter to others, it will not matter to her either. And a man who cannot stand his ground will eventually lose the position he stands on. The ninth rule: never pretend to like her hobbies. One of the quickest ways a man loses who he is in a relationship is by forcing himself to enjoy everything she enjoys. It sounds supportive. It looks sweet on the outside, but inside, it sends a message that slowly destroys attraction. You are willing to give up your unique self just to stay close to her. And no woman desires the version of a man who disappears into her life like that. A woman's hobbies are part of what makes her human. She should have interests, activities, creative outlets, and personal pursuits that excite her. But they are hers, not yours. And when you pretend to love what she loves, her hobbies, her type of entertainment, her creative world, or her friends, you do not become more suitable. You become less defined. You stop being the man she was drawn to and turn into a mirror showing her own identity back to her. Women do not consciously reject this right away. They may think it is kind, even flattering. But subconsciously, something changes. A man without his own passions feels empty. He becomes predictable, too available, and emotionally dependent on her approval. She does not feel the difference she needs, the contrast between her world and his. And attraction thrives on contrast. Your own passions matter because they remind her you have a life outside of her. You have a direction. You have an identity connected to something deeper than the relationship. A man who protects his interests, follows his hobbies, and engages in his own world becomes someone she can look up to, someone she can be curious about, someone she can admire. Supporting her hobbies does not mean taking them on as your own. Encouragement is healthy. Copying is not. You can stand next to her without stepping into her shadow, and you can be supportive without becoming just an extension of her personality. A woman does not want a copy of herself. She wants a man who brings a world she can walk into, not a man who gives up his world to live only in hers. The 10th rule: never sign anything if you are not certain you are the father. There are choices a man can recover from, and there are choices that change the rest of his life with just one signature. This is one of the latter. Too many men sign legal papers under emotional pressure. Because she is crying, because her family is present, because the hospital room feels difficult, because they think refusing will make them seem cold. But appearing cold for 5 minutes is nothing compared to living a lie for 18 years. When there is even a slight doubt, it must be taken seriously. Doubt is not disrespect. Doubt is simply being careful. But society teaches men that asking for clear answers makes them insensitive, cruel, untrusting. That training pushes them into choices based on guilt, not on reality. And women, whether they mean to or not, can use that pressure during a moment when you are most emotionally open. The psychological cost of signing too soon is devastating. You take responsibility for a child who might not be yours. You accept financial, emotional, and legal obligations that shape your whole future. And if the truth comes out later, the legal system will not protect you. Laws are not made to undo emotional decisions made under pressure. They are built to enforce them. This is not about attacking her character. It is about protecting your life. A responsible man checks the facts. He does not act without thinking. He does not sign until the truth is confirmed, not just suggested. And he refuses to let the fear of being judged overrule the need for certainty. A man who protects himself from a responsibility that cannot be reversed is not paranoid. He is grounded. He understands that commitment requires clarity, that fatherhood requires truth, and that a signature without certainty is not love. It is self-sacrifice that harms his future. Before you make a lifelong promise, make sure the life in question is truly connected to yours. Because a responsibility this large is serious, and serious things require proof. There is a lesson every man eventually learns. You do not lose your power because a woman took it. You lose it the moment you start giving up the parts of yourself that made you powerful in the first place. And every rule you heard today points back to that same main point: ignoring your own needs while pretending it is love. When a man ignores betrayal, avoids hard conversations, overspends to be liked, gives up his direction, or compromises on responsibilities, he is not choosing the relationship. He is choosing to disappear inside it. And no woman can respect a man who disappears, not because she is mean, but because respect is built on structure, on boundaries, on having a clear identity. When those things break down, attraction breaks down with them. What you saw in these 10 lessons is not a list of things you cannot do. It is a guide, a plan for how a man protects his mind, his honesty, and his future. It is a reminder that every choice you make, every standard you enforce, every limit you hold, is shaping how the world reacts to you, including the woman you share your life with. Strength is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not controlling. Strength is the quiet self-control of refusing to change your values just to keep someone near. It is the clarity to say, "This is who I am, and this is the line." When you live like that, a woman does not feel held back by you. She feels safer with you because she knows you will not fall apart under pressure and you will not change who you are to match her emotions. So before you leave this talk, pick one thing you know you have been doing wrong, one pattern you have been allowing, one area where you have been shrinking, and make a decision. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. The kind of decision a man makes when he is done abandoning himself. Because when you start protecting your standards, you do not lose women. You lose confusion, and the right woman will meet you at the level you maintain, not the level you drop to. If this information helped you see things clearly, take a moment to engage, like, share, and subscribe. Do it as a reminder to yourself that you are focused on becoming a more powerful man than you were yesterday. And tell me in the comments which part of the truth hit you the hardest today.